Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Center of Love. And thank you for being here in person and those of you online. My name is Lori, and I will be your host today. As I was reflecting on the Center of Love, I remember that this community is still relatively new. A year ago, it existed only as an idea in Ollie's mind. And today it's a reality. And we've been gathering for 7 months. Personally, this community has been a place of spiritual nourishment, of positivity and connection. I always look forward to the gatherings, to hear the message for the day, and to participate in the discussion, where there are always thought-provoking questions and new perspectives to consider. And for me, it is your presence here that makes this community come alive. So I want to thank each and every one of you for bringing this center to life. And I want to take a moment to remind you now of our commitments as a community. As a community, we commit to leading with love and making love the motive behind our thoughts and actions. We commit to honoring and respecting individual differences while remembering all that which unites us. We commit to sharing our gifts with each other and the world for the mutual good of all. We commit to healing our wounds in order to achieve personal growth and wholeness. And we commit to inspiring, uplifting, and supporting each other, and to be a source for love in the world. As Mahatma Gandhi said, where there is love, there is life. And I believe there's a lot of life here. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker for today, Kressa Sisu. I met Kressa 15 years ago when we both attended a spiritual cafe in Vancouver. We became friends very, very quickly after discovering we had many interests in common, including a love of camping, a strong commitment to personal growth, and of course, a love of chocolate. Kressa is truly a remarkable human being. She has accomplished much in the short time she's been on this planet. To name just a few accomplishments, she has been a social worker. She has taught courses on nutrition and holistic wellness. She's been an energy worker. She has written 2 books. She's been a flight attendant, and she was instrumental in organizing and coordinating a group of volunteers who traveled to Africa to help build a school and other community projects for the Maasai tribe in Tanzania. Although her accomplishments are many, and they are impressive, they pale by comparison to the qualities she possesses as a human being. Kressa is kind. She's incredibly generous in sharing her gifts with others, whether that be sharing her wisdom, doing an energy correction, or providing babysitting. She's always ready and willing to help. Kressa has a gift for bringing people together. She is upbeat and positive. And true to her name, she is very determined. And when she sets her mind on something, she makes it happen. Kressa has a youthful spirit and boundless energy. Today, she will be speaking about aging and what it means to age well. I can't think of a better person to speak on this subject. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend Kressa to the podium.
That was beautiful, Lori. Thank you. You did make me cry right before I'm supposed to talk. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to talk about aging, but it is also about living. It's not just about aging, because I think how you age, how you live is how you age. And aging well takes effort. I also think that how you live is how you do age. Aging well is really a lifetime pursuit, and it takes a mind, body, spirit approach. Age is just a number. However, our society tends to get caught up in this number. I learned a lot about healthy aging from my African friends in Tanzania. I was doing interviews with a whole group of mamas, and that is an impressive term for in African culture to call somebody a mama. If they're a mother, they're way up there. So I was doing interviews, and Nema was one of the ones I was interviewing. And true in Western fashion, I say, how old are you? The next thing I know, they're all talking all at once. And I'm thinking, oh, what's happening here? So I say, what's going on? And they said, we're trying to figure out what happened during that time because we don't know. Nobody knew how old she was. She had no idea how old she was. I thought that was really very cool. So age doesn't define them like it does in our Western culture. So I think the first important thing around aging is not buying into the myths. There are a lot of myths out there. How many of you heard you're going to lose your hearing, you're going to lose your eyesight, you're going to make sure you buy a house with no stairs because you're not going to be able to climb those stairs. So I think buying a house with stairs is a good idea because then you're going to have much more movement. So I think all these are myths. And again, the expectation is that you're going to decline. And yes, there are changes. I can attest to those for sure. You may have hearing issues, you may have eyesight issues, but again, it's not a given just because you're getting older. I notice at the gym, when I hear people talking, it's like illness is a badge of honor. They seem to talk about all their ailments with such passion. That's like, be careful what you think about, because then you can create that reality. What if they talked about health with that kind of passion? What would that be like? We seem to be a disease-centered society. I heard a podcast that the biggest economic driver, especially in the US, is a $4 trillion industry of disease, of the medical model. 4 times more spending than the military. To me, that's nuts. Not that it's good that we don't spend money on military, but that we have, that this is the major economic driver. This focuses on disease. So this is the backdrop on how people age. Another stat, 60% of aging population spend the last 16 years of their lives with some sort of chronic illness. And as a society, I think we need to change our focus from disease and illness to vitality, living with joy and full expression of ourselves. So I learned a lot about aging from both my parents. Both had very different attitudes about life and different mental health. My dad was an optimistic person with a great sense of humor. My mom was the very opposite, holding on to old grudges and very unhappy a lot of her life. My dad was 93 when he died and was sharp as a tack right to the end. And many of my friends have heard this story, but I'm going to share it for those that haven't heard it. So my dad had pneumonia and I had just been away and I came back and I usually tried to feed him. I went to see him every day when I could. And so he says, hey, Kressa, put your hand on your chest. And I think, okay, we're going to have a big conversation. Maybe he's going to talk about dying. And what comes out of his mouth is, the next time you go to the liquor store, stop buying me that cheap shit cognac and buy me the good stuff. And I started to laugh, tears running down my face. That only my father could think of that. And as it turned out, the next day, I never got to the liquor store because he did die the next day. But with what a memory he left me with. I mean, every time I think about that memory, which is often, I still laugh. My mom, on the other hand, lived until she was 86 and had some dementia. She was wanting to die for the last 15 years of her life. And I used to say, for God's sake, take her, but anyway, negative thinking can certainly exacerbate the aging process. She died very much how she lived, unhappy. I'm sure many of you have heard of the blue zones. How many have heard of the blue zones? Yeah. The centenarians are in great numbers. What they realized was diet certainly had an impact. However, social engagement was huge. An activity as simple as just walking was part of what helped these people age well. Their diet was high in healthy carbs, more like a kind of a Mediterranean diet. And again, their foods were grown locally in healthy conditions, not like our North American industrial agriculture with pesticides like Roundup are the norm. And a lot of our food is poisoned by these toxic chemicals. The fact that the farmers have to wear a hazmat suit when they're spraying the fields says a lot, right? It plays havoc on our microbiome. in our gut. And the increase in chronic illness right now in these days is rampant. So I think eating organic, local, as much as we can will help our bodies stay healthy and healthy longer. I'm fairly self-aware and always looking at the impact on externals have on my well-being. From this awareness, I have witnessed how my health and well-being improve the more I am in nature. I think as a society, we are so disconnected from nature. We extract instead of interact to our detriment. As you know, my son died recently, and I would go into nature and hug trees. People think, seeing me, I think a little bit, and sincerely felt the strength of these beautiful, majestic trees fill my being and help me have the strength to deal with this loss. I also find going barefoot and connecting to the ions in our earth so very healing. When I went to Mexico just recently, I had a very sore left foot and 4 days of walking on the beach and it was gone. So I think it really has an impact. Again, because just more, I think it was in around the 50s, we started having rubber soles on all our shoes, and it stops us from really connecting with the earth. So walking barefoot, I think, is really important. The next topic may be paradoxical, but I think to age well and to live life to the fullest, we need to get comfortable with death. I've actually been reading Ram Dass's book, Walking Each Other Home, and just finished taking a death doula course. Does everybody know what a death doula is? Death doula is somebody that helps somebody with the dying process. And I passed my course. I got my certificate. And I thought I was studying all this to be comfortable with my own death as I am aging. But the universe is an amazing place. And I feel all this study was helping me to prepare for the event of my son's dying. I do think knowing we are all going to die and being comfortable with this inevitability helps us to be more in the moment and be more joyful and living one moment at a time. I think it's important. Another aspect of aging well is dealing with old trauma. Toxic thoughts can poison your body. Trauma takes up space inside of us, and as we release, we get lighter and have more room for love and joy. The lighter you feel, the easier it is to age well and with grace. So I'd like to read to you my recipe. This is my personal recipe for aging well. I think movement is number one. And it's interesting because, you know, most of you know that we do these journeys. And on one of my journeys, I had asked, what is the most important thing for me to age well? And movement was the first thing that came up. And I go to the gym and I walk and I try to maybe sometimes dance. And meditating to me is equally important so that I can quiet this mind that likes to run amok and not let it rule the roost. And for me, communing with nature, walking barefoot whenever possible, nourishing myself in a healthy way. We are all biochemically unique and need to listen to our own bodies to know what works for us. And I use supplements and I change them around quite a bit and lately have lightened them up quite a lot. Connecting like this. And last night we had a wonderful, fabulous dinner here with Lori and Grant and Candace and Ollie and me, and the kids were here. And I mean, we laughed so hard and you could just feel your whole heart opening up. And we had such a fabulous time. I think this is critical. And they showed that with the Blue Zones, that it was the connecting that was one of the most important things. So sharing stories, supporting each other, having hugs are so important. That's why I think this community is so important, because we can do this with each other and share and care. And for me, especially with everything that's happened in the last little while, wow, it's been very critical to have this support. Watching my inner dialogue, making sure my thoughts are nourishing to my well-being. And I think having a practice is really important. And I'd like to teach you something that I use in my practice. So this is called Brain Gym, and it's educational kinesiology. It was developed by Paul Dennison in the States. And he developed it mainly for children with learning difficulties. And I used to use it in my classes. When I was a social worker, I ran a group of children with learning difficulties. And I taught this class, and the teacher came in and she saw them all lying quietly on the floor, 18 of them. And she said, "What did you give them?" Thought I had drugged them all up. But so the first thing with brain gym is these are your kidney buttons. You're going to put one hand flat on your belly button and you're going to rub these.
You guys want to come do this with us?
And you're going to rub these are kidney buttons. And this one is all your meridian ends are located here. This is called the hara. So it's really important. And everything we're going to be doing is the right and the left. Yeah, you've all got it. Okay, it's right under the bone, right under here. Can I show you?
Sure.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, soft spot right under. You're not on the bone here, you're underneath. And now you're going to switch hands. Everything is about the right and the left. Can you feel anything when you're rubbing that? Or like I always feel like more energy. Because the other thing that's happening here is that you are bringing oxygen to the brain. So if you're feeling tired, this is a powerful thing to do. Okay. And now the next thing you're going to do is stand up. For those of you online, you're going to stand up and you're going to put the right elbow to the left knee. Yeah, right elbow to the left knee. And as you're doing it, move your body to the side. Is this harder?
I got no room down here.
Yeah. You can do it sitting down, Ollie.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yay, good work, everybody. Keep going. Usually you do it to 12, but we don't have to do it that much. Okay. And now you can sit down. I'm going to pretend to sit. And you're going to cross your ankles, and you're going to take your hands like this and then put them underneath. And your tongue goes to the roof of the mouth. And just take nice slow breaths. And for the last bit, you're going to uncross your legs and let them flat on the floor. You're going to take your hands and put them like a tent position and just sit it in your lap for the same length of time as we did the other one. I have been doing this exercise for almost 30 years, and I think it's been very powerful for me. All right, so now you're paced. I'm going to read something at the very end, but I just want to finish this little piece about my recipe is living with intention and being grateful for it all. And even the challenges. As you all know, I've had a huge challenge recently, but again, when we get cracks, that's how the light gets in. So now I'm going to end with this. Actually, Liz sent this to me. So let me find it here. Okay. This was powerful for me. And those of you that know me can get how I relate to this. This is called the Cosmic Dancer. I counted my years and realized that I have less time to live by than I have lived so far. I feel like a child who won a pack of candies. At first, he ate them with pleasure, but when he realized there was little left, he began to taste them intensely. I have no time for endless meetings where the statutes, rules, procedures, and internal regulations are discussed, knowing that nothing will be done. I no longer have the patience to stand absurd people who, despite their chronicle age, have not grown up. My time is too short. I want the essence. My spirit is in a hurry. I do not have much candy in the package anymore. I want to live next to humans, very realistic people who know how to laugh at their mistakes, who are not inflated by their own triumphs, and who take responsibility for their actions. In this way, human dignity is defended, and we live in truth and honesty. It is the essentials that make life useful. I want to surround myself with people who know how to touch the hearts of those whom hard strokes of life have taught to grow with sweet touches of the soul. Yes, I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry to live with the intensity that only maturity can bring. I do not intend to waste any of the remaining desserts. I am sure they will be exquisite, much more than those eaten so far. My goal is to reach the end satisfied and at peace with my loved ones and my conscience. I have 2 lives, and the second one begins when you realize you only have one.
So here we are, we're at the end of our gathering today, and I want to thank everyone for the sharing, and Kressa for the talk on aging. You've given us a lot to think about, a lot of new perspectives to meditate on, and perhaps exercise as we go about our day. And I mean that literally and figuratively, right?
Yeah.
So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being here in person, and thank you for being here online. And I want to remind you all that there are many ways that you can contribute to this community. You can volunteer to be a speaker or a host. You can contribute your expertise or skills for building this community, and you can contribute your money. We have a donation box at the table there if you want to contribute money. And there's a blessing. Are we doing an evocation?
Well, usually we do the song and then we hold hands and
Okay.
somebody says some words, but I'm not sure if anybody's got words to say or if anybody would like to just some thoughts or some inspiration for people as we go back into the world for a couple of weeks, something to keep us warm in the cold days of winter.
I have a quote that I'd like to share.
Perfect.
So, there is a fountain of youth. It is your mind, your talents, the creativity you bring to your life, and the lives of the people you love. When you learn to tap the source, you will have truly defeated age. And that quote is by Sophia Loren.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
Beautiful.